record it for like other students?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I typically video record lectures just in case people miss class and stick those up online, either a Google Drive or YouTube, so that if you do miss class, you have access to it, or if you just want to review, you have access to the information. So our purpose today is, what does it mean to read, and actually to practice some skills of reading and annotating. We'll take a look at the part of the syllabus that talks about the annotated readings. Remember that annotating your readings is a homework assignment. And then we'll do a sample post, so you can see how to do the post in Blackboard. But I'd like to share with you a way of thinking about what reading is. Think back to the days. Hi Devin, remind me that you're here so I can mark you present. There's not going to be a journal entry today, so I won't know unless you tell me. Think back to the days before computers and word processors and even printers. Printing. How did people make books? Even before that, oral tradition is way back, and maybe that's an even better place to start. Human language originated as spoken only. And there are still places in the world where people speak ancient languages, like my husband's culture, which are not written, it's only oral. So spoken language is the original form of language, and our brains are wired to understand the spoken word more than the written word. For that reason, language really has to be heard to be understood. And some of you may be oral expressive learners. Some people learn better by listening and speaking than they do by seeing and reading. So it might be your learning style as well. But if we think back to even after people started to develop writing, how were books made? Yeah, they were handwritten. They're called manuscripts. We still have thousands of these things preserved in libraries and archives, handwritten copies of texts that are hundreds of years old. But what if a group of people had only one book among themselves, but they all needed to learn from that book? What would they do? One person would read it, and everybody else would listen with the goal of pondering and even remembering what was being said, because they didn't have access to that text directly. That practice is called lectio divina, a Latin term. So we're going to kind of practice a little bit of that today, and I just kind of want to talk about what that means. It means, first of all, that when you read a great book, when you're reading one of the texts for our class, not with a textbook, but for our class, you really need to hear every word, whether out loud or in your mind. If you're not hearing the words, you're not really reading, and you won't really comprehend. And many students today struggle with pronunciations. I notice that when you read orally in class or when students are quoting from a text, if you bump into a word that you're not sure how to pronounce, you need to figure out that pronunciation so you can speak it accurately. You know this well, Jocelyn, wrestling with the second language. So it is absolutely essential to hear the words in your mind. Again, I'm estimating that you might spend an hour and a half to 2 hours with each reading, and that might sound crazy until you do it this way. If you are pressed for time, it is better to do only part of your seminar reading, but to do it very well than to try to skim through the whole thing. So read 5 pages, but really read them rather than just scanning through 10, if that makes sense. Go slowly. I'm not going to, just sort of emphasize that point, but taking it slowly is important. Ponder the meaning of the text, and one of you said this, I think it was Brandon. It's not just the words, but it's thinking about the words, what they mean. One way to do that is to force yourself to stop after each chunk of text, maybe 2 or 3 sentences, and force yourself to put that in your own words. It's easiest if you're reading with someone. Eventually, you guys are going to do this independently with each other during class time. Talk about what that means. Try to put it in your own words. You might find yourself unable to explain it. So then you're bumping up against, maybe you need to think about this more deeply, or look up some words, or talk about it with someone else, or even jump on your phone and see what you can figure out. Ask questions. Another major difference between the books that we're reading and textbooks is that your textbooks, you're supposed to believe everything that's in them, right? pretty much. Not these books. You're supposed to disagree sometimes. You're supposed to question them. Why does this guy think this? What do I think about it? Do I agree or disagree, and why? So question the text, and question each other, and question me. Asking questions is what it's all about. And then annotate the reading. We'll practice doing this today. That means marking up the text in a way that shows how you're interacting with it. Let me pull up the section of the syllabus that deals with this real quick. I encourage you to take a look at it again online. But this is kind of what annotating means. As you read, mark up your copy meaningfully in a way that shows you're genuinely interacting with the reading. Underline or highlight quotes that stand out, but you got to get beyond this. Just underlining isn't enough. Anybody can underline a bunch of random quotes in a reading. It's what you write that really matters. Decide whether you agree or disagree with the writer. You might write a smiley face, or a heart, or a mad face, or some little symbol for yourself. Or, I really hate this guy, he's an idiot. In the margins, if you really disagree with them. Write in the margins what those quotes mean in your own words. So you're sort of paraphrasing. The best readings and the ones that earn extra credit are the ones that are absolutely covered. If we have time, I'll pull up an example for you. Paraphrase and summarize. It can be helpful to summarize at the top of a page a key idea from that reading so that you can then go back and find it later. I'll show you an example sometime soon of an oral examination where a student has done this. He's marked up his text in a way that helps him answer questions during the exam. Look up and write the definition of words that are new to you. When I look at your annotations, I'm going to look for that. Are you learning new words? And then strive to use those words in seminar and in your everyday conversations. So you're making those words part of your vocabulary. Draw symbols that illustrate your emotions. Write down questions. Every page should have something meaningful on it. The handout should look like you spent 2 hours with it. So it's evident just as I page through the annotated readings, did the student really spend time with us or just kind of race through it? It should look like you spent that time. So that's what annotating's about, and we're gonna try that today. And then last but not least, it's important to, remember. So we want to absorb what we're hearing from the text and then be able to talk about our ideas in class. And then on the final oral examination, be able to show that you're familiar, and in seminar, to be able to show that you remember what is in that reading. Okay, so let me hand out our first seminar reading and tell you a little bit about who this author is. We're starting with Malcolm X because of the way he describes the meaningfulness of reading and words and ideas and philosophy in his own personal life. In all the reading that I've done in all the years that I've been a student of philosophy, I've never seen anything quite like this. To me, this almost gets to the heart of what education is. So he's a contemporary writer. We're going to go to the distant past next time. But he's a contemporary writer who kind of articulates these ideas for us. So this is sort of a springboard for you, hopefully to start thinking about and engaging in conversation with Malcolm X and thinking about what your education has meant to you or not. You may be very frustrated with formal education right now. He was. He has some pejorative things to say about college at the end of the reading, which you might find entertaining. Malcolm X was a 20th century intellectual. I like to think of him as a religious leader and a human rights leader, a social justice leader of the 20th century, a very powerful personality. He was born in Nebraska in the early part of the century. His father was a Baptist minister. But his family was persecuted because his father's views were very radical, so they moved from place to place. They ended up in Michigan and Wisconsin at different times in his childhood. His father was killed probably by white supremacists. And his mother shortly afterward was placed in a mental institution. So the children, Malcolm Little, he was called at the time, and his siblings were split up into different foster homes. In his youth, he moved to Harlem in New York City and to Boston and kind of started running around with criminal gangs. He ended up getting arrested for burglary along with one of his good friends and spent 7 years in prison. During his time in prison as an inmate, he came in contact with a religious organization, a religion really called the Nation of Islam. It's an American brand of the Muslim religion. And he became fascinated by the people. Bimbi, I think, is one of the people he mentions in here, and Elijah Muhammad, the leader of that movement. He became fascinated with those people and came to admire them. And that was when he started to change. And it was in prison that he, in a sense, taught himself to read and write. And here he describes that journey and how transformational it was for him as a person. Any questions about Malcolm X? Have you studied him before? Can anyone fill in pieces of his biography that I don't know about? Any other thoughts on him? Have you read his work before or encountered him in other classes? Just say, oh yeah, we might have looked at this actually. You might still have your annotated reading. You can bring it back. Just add some more to it.
Yeah, Constance West.
Considine, yeah. Dr. Considine does. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King is different visions of how to do such a process. But he really was an intellectual. And just the way he describes reading and what it is and what it involves is a picture of how we should approach it as well. So our task is going to be to just practice this form of reading lectio divina a little bit. We'll take small chunks of the text, maybe 2 or 3 sentences at a time. I'll take a couple volunteers for extra credit. You're going to read out loud, slowly, and then stop and try to put that in your own words and explain how you would annotate the text, and we can all do that together, just to get a taste of how to do this. Then if we feel tired, we'll take a break. If we don't, we'll just stay in class, and then we'll do a Blackboard post so we can make sure that we know how to do this before we leave here. Let me stop this